Hare Krishna. I welcome everyone to His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj's daily class. Thank you all for joining. Today's speaker is Her Grace Sridevi Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna Mataji. My humble obeisances to you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for coming online and giving us this class on Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 12th chapter, verse number 7. You can please take over, Mataji. I'll share my screen again.
Thank you, Srimati. My humble obeisances to you and to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. And all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to our Gurudev. I pray that all of you are well and happy and taking shelter of Krishna's names and getting good association of devotees and marching forward in your goal of human form of life, which is to go back home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. My humble obeisances. Pancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. So we are continuing, as Srimati correctly said, a series of lectures on Canto 1, Chapter 12, which is the birth of Emperor Parikshit, and we are on text number 7. Excuse me. Which goes like this. Okay, before that, let's start with the invocation prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Nasta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So we are reading verse 7, which goes as follows. Matur Garbhavato Vira Satada Bhrigunandana Dadarsha Purusham Kanchid Dayamano Tejasa Matur Garbhagato Vira Satada Bhrigunandana Dadarsha Purusham Kachid Dayamano Tejasa. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O son of Bhrigu, Shana, when the child Parikshit, the great fighter, was in the womb of his mother Uttara and was suffering from the burning heat of the Brahmastra thrown by Ashwathama, he could observe the Supreme Lord coming to him. Purport. Death generally involves remaining in trance for 7 months. Interesting, huh? Srila Prabhupada is writing that. A living being, according to his own action, is allowed to enter into the womb of a mother by the vehicle of a father's semen, and thus he develops his desired body. This is the law of birth in specific bodies according to one's past actions. When he is awake from trance, he feels the inconvenience of being confined within the womb, and thus he wants to come out of it. And sometimes, fortunately, prays to the Lord for such liberation. Maharaj Parikshit, while in the womb of his mother, was struck by the Brahmastra released by Ashwathama, and he was feeling the burning heat. But because he was a devotee of the Lord at once appeared himself within the womb by his all-powerful energy, and the child could see that someone else had come to save him. Even in that helpless condition, the child Parikshit endured the unbearable temperature due to his being a great fighter by nature. And for this reason, the word Viraha has been used. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dati Swapadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I offer my humble obeisances to my beloved Guru Maharaj, to Srila Prabhupada, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale, Srimate Candramauli Swami Niti Namini, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini, Namaste Saraswate Deve, Gauravani Prachaline, Nirvisesha Shunyavati Pashtya Deshatarini. So what is death? Srila Prabhupada described, death simply means change of body. Death simply means change of body. Why? Because the soul is eternal. The soul never dies. The soul simply goes into another body at the time of death. That means it discards one body and then it takes on another dress, which is another body. And how does it do that? By entering into the womb of a mother. And what kind of body he gets depends on his activities in this lifetime. So Srila Prabhupada describes, you want to drink the blood of an animal, then Krishna will give you a tiger's body in your next lifetime. Krishna is very kind. He will fulfill your desires. You like to be naked and wear very little clothes and show off your body in this lifetime as a human, then Krishna will arrange for you to become a tree in your next lifetime and be completely exposed to all the nature's elements, sun, wind, rain, cold, heat, everything. So like this, Krishna arranges a body for us according to our desires, according to our wishes, according to our activities, according to our karma, according to our destiny. So we are not in control of that. We are not in control of that. We can't say, my next body, Amazon.com, I want a 60-pound, light as a feather, gorgeous as Venus, beautiful as the moon body. Place the order, $2,500. Or I want to be like a, King Kong. I want to have a big muscle body. I want to be 6 feet tall. I want to look like a Greek god. I want to make heads turn every time I walk into the room. I want to snap my fingers and have all beautiful women drooling all over me. Get me a body like that. No, sir. It is not by what you desire. Not by what you order. Sorry. It is by all the cumulative result of all the activities in this lifetime. So you may lose the human form and go on to a lower form of life. You may come back as a dog or a hog or a camel or an ass or a bird or an aquatic or a peacock or a swan or something which may not be the human form of life depending on your activities in this life. Of course, for devotees, there is this great boon that at least they will get a human form of life and they will be born in family of devotees or great transcendentalists or rich aristocracy, so that they can pick up where they left off. At least they will get that much. They are not going to get a lower form of life because they have engaged in the service of the Lord. But all the rest of the people, we don't know what kind of body they are going to get. A living being, according to his own action, is allowed to enter into the womb of a mother by the vehicle of the father's semen. And thus he develops his desired body. This is the law of birth in specific bodies according to one's past actions. Then what happens to that poor baby? When he's in the womb, he feels great inconvenience. When he's awake from the trance, he feels inconvenience of being confined within the womb. And Srila Prabhupada describes it. It is so uncomfortable. The baby's back is arched, his neck is pushed forward, and he's all scrunched up in the abdomen. And he's upside down, his head is down, his spine is arched and his legs are up and all kinds of things. And he's completely confined in the womb of his mother. And he's bitten by so many worms in that tender condition. Every time she eats some food that is very hot or spicy or pungent or salty or sour, immediately it affects the child because the child feels an unbearable gastric fire. So the child is in a very pathetic condition. And this is graphically described in Canto 3, chapter 31. If we can go to 3:31:9, please. And I will share with you how graphically the Shastras are describing the position of the little embryo in the womb of the mother and how piteously it is crying out to the Lord for help. It is described that the child remembers 100 of his previous births and he regrets enormously that now again he has to take birth. And he says, I want to engage in your service so that I don't have to do this again. See, the child does remain just like a bird in a cage without freedom of movement. At that time, if the child is fortunate, he can remember all the troubles of his past 100 births and he grieves wretchedly. What is the possibility of peace of mind in that condition? So you see how difficult it is for the child in the womb of the mother. Let's go to just the translations because I want to show another verse, verse 17 and then verse 19. For the child is lying, yes, thank you. 17 and 19. Fallen into a pool of blood, stool, and urine within the abdomen of his mother, his own body scorched by the mother's gastric fire. The embodied soul, anxious to get out, counts his months and prays, O my Lord, when shall I, a wretched soul, be released from this confinement? And then 19, the living entity in another type of body sees only by instinct. He knows only the agreeable and disagreeable sense perceptions of that particular body. But I have a body in which I can control my senses and can understand my destination. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by whom I have been blessed with this body, and by whose grace I can see him within and without. And then verse 18, my dear Lord, by your causeless mercy, I am awakened to consciousness, although I am only 10 months old. For this causeless mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the friend of all fallen souls, there is no way to express my gratitude but to pray with folded hands. So what does the living entity pray? Because he's in a very difficult condition. Let's go up to the first few verses. You will see what I'm saying. The travails and the tribulations of the child within the womb of the mother. Yes. Okay, let's go to, okay, this is how the baby is formed. There's a lot of, okay, let's go to text 2. According to the result of his work, this is text 1, the living entity, the soul, is made to enter the womb of a woman through the particle of male semen to assume a particular type of body, which is what this purport says. On the first night, what happens? The sperm and ovum mix. On the 5th night, the mixture ferments into a bubble. On the 10th night, it develops like a plum. And after that, it gradually turns into a lump of flesh or an egg, as the case may be. In the course of a month, a head is formed. At the end of 2 months, hands, feet, and other limbs take shape. At the end of 3 months, nails, fingers, toes, body, hair, bones, and skin appear, as do the organ of generation and other apertures in the body, namely the eyes, nostrils, ears, mouth, and anus. That's at 3 months. Within 4 months, the 7 essential ingredients of the body, namely chyle, blood, flesh, fat, bone, marrow, and semen, come into existence. At the end of 5 months, hunger and thirst. And at the end of 6 months, child begins to move. Deriving its nutrition from food and drink taken by the mother, fetus grows and remains in that abominable residence of stool and urine, which is the breeding place of all kinds of worms. And now look at this description. Bitten again and again all over the body by the hungry worms in the abdomen itself, the child suffers terrible agony because of his tenderness. He thus becomes unconscious moment after moment because of the terrible condition, owing to the mother's eating bitter, pungent foodstuffs or foods which are too salty or too sour. The body of the child incessantly suffers pains which are almost intolerable. Placed within the amnion and covered outside by the intestine, the child remains lying on one side of its abdomen, his head turned towards his belly, and his back and neck arched like a bow. The child remains like a bird in a cage without freedom. At that time, if the child is fortunate, he can remember all the troubles of his past 100 births and he grieves wretchedly. What is the possibility of peace of mind? So in this condition, the living entity prays to the Lord, my dear Lord, please don't let me forget you. I promise that when I come out, I will become your devotee. But then when he is actually born, again Maya covers him and he forgets. That is why Srila Prabhupada is right. It is so important for the parents to revive the child's dormant Krishna consciousness by teaching them the principles of Bhakti Yoga right from the very beginning of life, so that the child does not have to endure the suffering by re-entering into another womb at death. That means he gets out of the cycle of birth and death. How important it is to understand the trauma that the child undergoes in the womb. You know, in that song, Bhaja Govindam, Shankaracharya sings, don't take birth again. Don't re-enter into a woman's womb. You have suffered so much in so many lifetimes like that. In this lifetime, take to the worship of the Lord and go back home, back to Godhead. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jathare shayanam. Iha samsare, bahudustare, kripaya pare, pahi murare. Okay, let's go back to our main verse. That is 1:12:7. And I would like us to look actually at the next part. He sometimes fortunately prays to the Lord for such liberation. Maharaj Parikshit, while in the womb of his mother, was struck by the Brahmastra released by Vashvatthama and he was feeling the burning heat. I want to speak a little bit more about this law of birth in specific bodies. Let's go to 1:12:12 per quote. It's just a few verses down. 1:12:12. Yeah. So here they're talking about how every living being is controlled at every minute and how one is forced to take birth under particular constellation of stars. Every living being is controlled by the laws of nature every minute, just as the citizen is controlled by the influence of the state. But the laws of nature, being subtle to a gross understanding, cannot be experienced grossly. Every action of life produces another reaction which is binding upon us. And only those who are involved in service to Vishnu are not bound by these reactions. Our actions are judged by higher authorities, and thus we are awarded bodies according to our activities. The law of nature is so subtle that every part of our body is influenced by the respective stars, and a living being obtains his working body to fulfill his terms of imprisonment by the manipulation of such astronomical influence. A man's destiny is therefore ascertained by the birth time constellation of stars, and a factual horoscope is made by a learned astrologer. It is a great science, and the misuse of science does not make it useless. Maharaj Parikshit therefore was born under a certain constellation of very good stars because he was a great devotee of the Lord. Therefore, the stars lined up very auspiciously, and therefore he took birth. Now you might say, I'm born under bad stars, I have such bad karma, I have such bad... But everything can be changed by Krishna's mercy. If we engage in the devotional service of the Lord, Krishna will change our karma. So this is the great benefit of engaging in devotional service to the Lord. Okay, let's go back to our main purport, please. So Maharaj Parikshit is a great hero. He is a very great devotee of the Lord. And therefore, even though the Ashwatthama threw that Brahmastra and it was coming at him, because he was coming into this world with piety, with devotion, and was already a great devotee, a great warrior, he was bearing that temperature of the Brahmastra. Of course, Krishna came immediately, but because of his immense power, his immense Shakti, as a Kshatriya warrior, Kshatriyas have great capacity to bear pain and suffering. He showed his Veera, his prowess, his particular Shakti, his power, by bearing the temperature of that Brahmastra weapon. So, why did Krishna come? Because Uttara, the mother of Parikshit, called out to the Lord, "Oh my Lord, Deva Deva Jagatpate, Mahayogin," she calls out to him and says, "My Lord, a terrible fiery iron arrow is coming towards me to kill this child in my womb. Please save me." And the Brahmastra weapon is actually infallible. It finds its target and it does its job of annihilation. Nothing can stop it. But Krishna's power is supreme. It can stop even the Brahmastra weapon. So, knowing how fierce the Brahmastra is, Krishna immediately entered into the womb of Uttara and protected the child from being burnt alive by this Brahmastra. And Parikshit Maharaj saw Lord Krishna in the womb. He saw Lord Krishna in the womb. The next verse, it doesn't have a purport. It's a beautiful description of the Lord. I would like us to take a look at the next verse, number 8, please, because it tells how the Lord was as big as a thumb. The Lord, was only a thumb high, but he was all transcendental. He had a very beautiful, blackish, infallible body, and he wore a dress of lightning yellow and a helmet of blazing gold. Thus he was seen by the child. So because he entered into the womb, Krishna took on that form of just being as big as a thumb. And Srila Prabhupada goes on to explain that the Lord can do anything. He can become bigger than the biggest mountain we have ever seen. He can become so tiny that he enters into an atom. Aniyor Anyan Mahato Mahyan. He can become bigger than the biggest. He can become smaller than the smallest. He can disappear into the heart. Like he did when Hiranyaksha was looking, "Where's the Lord? I want to kill him. I want to finish him." Krishna went and hid in his own heart and he couldn't find him. He thought, "Oh, the Lord is dead. I finished him," or he's run away or something. And of course, the Lord comes later on as Varahadev. So Krishna can do anything. So he came into the womb and he took that small stature just to protect Maharaj Parikshit. Of course, Krishna is all powerful. Even if he's as small as a little thumb and no more than thumb, all his potencies are there. Just as he showed his full potencies as a newborn babe practically. He was only 10 days old and he killed Putana. Putana, when she took her real form, she came disguised as a very beautiful celestial woman actually. People thought, "Oh, the goddess of fortune herself has come." Like a, And then when she died, her body was 8 miles long. And she was sprawled there, lying like a mountain, and Krishna was seen on the breast, of that great demon. And he was only a baby. He was only 10 days old. But whether Krishna is like appearing as a baby, or he's appearing as a toddler, or he's appearing as the king of Dwaraka, he's the same Supreme Lord with all the potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All powerful. All cognizant, all powerful, all knowing, all seeing, all wise, all merciful, all opulence is Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, when Maharaj Parikshit saw Lord Krishna, it was just for a moment. Because Lord Krishna came just to do the work of protecting him. And then he disappeared from the sight of baby Parikshit in the womb. But ever after that, Emperor Parikshit was constantly searching, "Where is my Lord? I have to see him. I have to find him." And then he becomes a great hero of Srimad Bhagavatam by the arrangement of the Lord, because Krishna wants his devotees to come back to him. He doesn't want them to waste time in this material world. So Krishna arranged for him to get upset and angry with, who is that? Shamika Rishi. Yes, Shamika Rishi. And then Shamika Rishi's son Shringi was only a little boy, but very powerful. Being a Brahmana boy, he cursed him. Within 7 days, you will die due to the bite of a snake bird. And Maharaj Parikshit immediately said, "Okay, I accept it. And I will make all arrangements so that I perfect the human form of life." And he invited the sages. Many sages and demigods also came. And Shukadev Goswami started speaking the Srimad Bhagavatam. And that's how we have this cream of the Vedic literatures. We are reading it right now. Amala Puran. It kicks out all cheating religions. Dharma Kaitava. What is that? It kicks out all cheating religions. There's a verse about it. So we have been given this gift of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, nectar of instruction, nectar of devotion, Sri Ishopanishad, easy journey to other planets, teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So many wonderful, wonderful books given by Srila Prabhupada, so that we can get immersed in the spiritual energy, get absorbed in Krishna's name, form, pastime, leelas, gunas, and make our lives perfect. Just as Maharaj Parikshit made his life perfect, we can also make our lives perfect if we choose to do so. How is that? Because Lord Chaitanya has made it so simple. He has made it so easy for us. In this age of Kali, he has given us the Sankirtan movement. What does he say? Chant, dance, take prasadam. Engage in little service to the Lord. Make your life successful and go back home, back to Godhead. Krishna says, comes in the form of Lord Chaitanya and says, arise, awake, spirit souls. Come back home to me. Jeev jago, Gaura Chandra bole. Kota nidra jao maya pisha chira khole. How long will you keep sleeping on the lap of which Maya? Wake up and come back to me. Who else is there for you besides me? I'm your only friend. Hame bina bandhu ara ke ache tomara. Jeev jago, Gaura Chandra bole. Kota nidra jao maya pishachi rakhole. Vajivo bolila se samsara bitare. Bhuliya rahile tumi avidyara bhare. Jeev jago, Gaura Chandra bole. Steeped in ignorance, you've forgotten who you really are. I have come to revive your Krishna consciousness and take you back home. Who else is there for you as a friend besides me? I'm your only friend. Come, follow me. So Lord Chaitanya has come to take us back. And what is his program? He's only singing and dancing all the while. Nava Gauravaram, Nava Pushpasaram. Pranamami Suchi Sutta Gauravaram. There's a very beautiful song, Sachi Sutta Ashtakam, describing the beautiful glories of Lord Chaitanya, who has come just as he came to save Parikshit Maharaj. He has come to save us from the cycle of repeated birth and death. My dear spirit souls, we have never had it so good. We are so fortunate because Lord Chaitanya comes only once in the day of Lord Brahma. That means in 1000 yuga cycles, he comes once. That means every 1000 Kali yugas, he comes one time. And we are happening to be in that Kali yuga when he has come. How lucky we are. You know, just one yuga, it takes 432 million years. Million or billion, I don't remember. One Satya Yuga, one Treta Yuga, one Dwapar Yuga, and one Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is 432,000 years. Next is Dwapar Yuga, which is 864,000 years. Then double that, which is 1 point something. 1 million something. And the Satya Yuga is double of that also. So this is just one yuga cycle. Like this, there are 1000 yuga cycles, and Lord Chaitanya comes just one time in this whole length of time. It's unbelievable. One day in the, once in the day of Lord Brahma. And we are so fortunate that we happen to have taken birth in this particular Kali Yuga where Lord Chaitanya has come. So we want to make our life successful and engage in the Sankirtan process and make our life successful and go back home, back to Godhead, never to take birth in this material world again. Janma karma cha me divyam, yo janati tattvataha Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti soarjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my birth, of my activities, never takes birth again in this material world, but comes back to my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So Krishna is saying, come learn about me, get to know me, read the Shastras and come to know me and engage in loving service unto me. And in the end, come back home to me. This is very simple. Chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So simple, so sweet, so sublime. Very simple process. And Srila Prabhupada has made it even easier. You know, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, in his time, he would say, if someone is not chanting at least 64 rounds every day, they haven't even reached the human form of life. And so when Srila Prabhupada told all the devotees to chant 64 rounds, they made long faces. They said, oh, Srila Prabhupada, we cannot do it. It's 64 rounds. Then he said, all right, 32 rounds. Again, they made long faces and they said, oh my God, we can't do 32 rounds. And Srila Prabhupada said, all right, 16, but no less. What a huge discount we have got. Just think, if we had to actually chant 64 rounds every day, how difficult it would be. But Srila Prabhupada has given us a big discount, only 16 rounds. Isn't that wonderfully kind of Srila Prabhupada? And he said that. He said, I'm 80% lenient with you. I'm very liberal. I'm 80% lenient with you. If I had to tell you everything, you would faint. Srila Prabhupada said like this, you would faint. So Prabhupada has dumbed it down for us. He has made it so simple. He has given big discounts. So now all we have to do is chant our 16 rounds, maintain the 4 regulative principles, engage in the process of Bhakti Yoga, do a little service for the Lord according to the direction of our Gurudev, associate with devotees, serve the devotees, make our life successful, go back to Krishna. Bas, finished. No more taking birth again. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jadhare shayanam, iha samsare bahudustare, iha samsare bahudustare, kripaya pare pahi murare, bhaj govindam, govindam bhaja mudhamate, bhaj govindam, govindam bhaja mudhamate. So Shankaracharya, the impersonalist Acharya himself, in the end, he sings Bhaja Govindam. Worship Govinda, you fool, just worship Govinda. Don't take birth again. That is the meaning of this particular verse. So on this note, I will end today's class and you can open up for questions, comments, criticism, sharing realizations, whatever you like.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for such a nice detailed class about the purport, about the condition of the baby in the womb. It's like very eye-opening facts Prabhupada has written, and also in Srimad Bhagavatam it is mentioned very detailedly. Yeah, thank you so much, Mataji. Dear devotees, any questions or comments or realizations, you can please go ahead and please turn on your cameras if possible. Thank you. Supriya Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Mataji, I want to ask this question. It might seem very basic, but please pardon me for that. The question is, when Ashwatthama sent this Brahmastra to kill, when he killed all the 5 sons of Pandavas, then he was basically punished, and all his weapons were taken from him. But why Brahmastra was not taken from him, and if at all it was taken, uh, if I understood properly, Brahmastra is a subtle weapon, and then so it's not basically a gross weapon. So why that power to operate the Brahmastra was not taken from him by Lord Krishna? If that would have happened, then Krishna wouldn't have to jump again into saving of future calamity, right? Other people.
Yeah, because they had spared the life of Ashwatthama and humiliated him enough, they thought he has learned his lesson. They have spared his life. Actually, Bhima wanted to kill him. Krishna also wanted him killed. But Draupadi pleaded on his behalf and said, no, 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 please spare him. He's the son of a Brahmana. I don't want his mother to weep as I'm weeping. And so Krishna hinted to Arjuna what to do. He said, kill him, but don't kill him. That means he cut off his hair, and then he deprived him of all the weapons, and he drove him actually out of the kingdom. So it was a big humiliation actually. So after such a humiliation, you expect that the enemy will have some sense. You expect him to behave himself, having understood the power of Krishna as well as the Pandavas, and that his life was spared. He had done a very heinous crime that even Duryodhan was disgusted, to kill sleeping children in their bed. That was the most, it was so disgusting, Duryodhan. So, but this Ashwatthama was so shameless that in spite of being humiliated like that, in spite of being deprived of all his weapons, as you rightly said, the Brahmastra is a subtle weapon. It is a mantra. You recall it by uttering powerful mantra. So he still had that power with him, and therefore he used that power. And why Krishna did not withdraw that power from him? Because he wanted to show that even this Brahmastra you release at my devotee, still it will not work, because I am there to protect my devotee. The Brahmastra is actually infallible. It goes, seeks its target, and it finishes the target. There is no question of evading a Brahmastra. The Brahmastra is so perfect in its, the focus. You will be wherever you are. You can hide under the ocean. You can climb the tallest mountain. It will find you and it will kill you. That's how powerful the Brahmastra is. So this Brahmastra was heading straight for the womb of Uttara. But she took shelter of Krishna, and Krishna protected the baby even from the Brahmastra to show that he is supreme, and by his power, no devotee need be afraid of even such a horrible weapon as Brahmastra.
Okay, thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Nice question.
Thank you, Mataji. Any more questions?
Haribol, Sridevi.
Haribol,
Haribol.
Jai.
I have a question.
Please.
Now we said that weapon goes and kills all the time whenever he finds it. But now Krishna has taken away the target, and so the weapon was still there. Who did the weapon?
The weapon was neutralized. The weapon had no power to act anymore because Krishna was there to protect the baby in the womb, and he did not allow the weapon to have any effect.
It did not go another place then.
Where it went after that, I don't know. Whether it went back to Ashwatthama or it got neutralized and finished right there in the womb, I don't know, because I haven't read any descriptions of what happened to the weapon after that.
Because normally that weapon goes back, kills.
Yeah, some arrows they are described in the Ramayana, like the arrow went back into Ram's quiver after killing, Ravan, like that. Some weapons go back to the owner. But I have not read description or what happened to the Brahmastra. I will have to do some research to find out what happened to the Brahmastra because Krishna neutralized it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Sorry.
Thank you. No, I'm happy that you asked a question. It made us all think.
Thank you, Mataji. Your class is very straightforward. There are no more questions, Mataji. Yeah, Supreme.
I thought I made so much noise in the class. Everybody is tired.
No. Supreme.
Mataji, this is little bit of the topic question. We had a discussion that soul is active or inactive. I read in Bhagavad Gita and it's given soul is inactive. But in our discussion, I heard even from Guru Maharaj, soul is active. So I'm confused about this, Mataji.
The soul is always active. The soul is always active because it's the active principle of life. It is what is giving life to the body. It can never be like, what to say, dormant or, it is the symptom of eternal consciousness, eternal life.
Life force is different from a soul, Mataji. Soul and Paramatma, they are different than the life force. So soul is just an observer.
On the physical level is prana, I agree. But that is not what gives life to the body. The presence of the soul gives life to the body. The body is dead matter. It is like a car. Okay, a car can't move by itself. Only when the driver enters and starts the ignition, then the car moves. So the soul is the active principle. It gives life to the body, and it is, what else to say except that it is ever alive, it is ever active, it is ever cognizant, it is full of knowledge, it's full of bliss, full of joy, it is eternal, ever existing, primeval, it cannot be slain when the body is slain. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. The description of the soul is there. It's insoluble. It cannot be cut by any weapon. It cannot be withered by the wind. It cannot be moistened by water. It cannot be burnt by fire. That's the nature of the soul. It's an eternal thing, and it is untouched by the material energy. And it is part and parcel of Krishna. So how can it be inactive? Do you see what I'm saying? Haribol? Where is she? Left? The call dropped, I think.
Yeah. Yes, Mataji. Maybe she'll join back.
I think she's mixing up the soul neutrality with activity. The soul is neutral in the sense it doesn't touch the material energy. It is seated, yandra rudhani mayaya. So, but these things are not so easy to understand. One has to read again and again to understand these things. Anyway, if she comes back, we'll try to explain a little bit more.
I think in the first canto, 8th chapter, it's mentioned about the Brahmastra sent by the Aswathama, and but I think I don't know exactly what happened. I have to read again.
Yeah, prayers of Queen Kunti and Emperor Maharaj Parikshit said, yeah. In that, the description is there.
It's like 8th chapter, the Drona punished that chapter. Okay, Mataji. So Krishna, any more questions or comments? Mataji's and Prabhuji's. Yeah, Revati Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. I don't have any specific questions, but...
there you go. I'm sorry, Revati Mataji. Just give me 1 second. I want to complete what Srimati was trying to explore. Tirthakirti Mataji, I think this is the answer to your question. O Shauna, glory of Brigu's family, although the supreme Brahmastra weapon released by Ashwatthama was irresistible and without check or counteraction, it was neutralized and foiled when confronted by the strength of Lord Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
That answers. That
verse,
answers.
Yeah, it is verse number 15, first canto, chapter 8, 1, 8, 15. It was neutralized and foiled when confronted by the power of Krishna's energy. Yeah,
Thank
go
you
ahead.
so much.
Welcome.
Mhm.
Thank you, Srimati. Please go ahead, Revati. Sorry for the interruption.
No problem, Mataji. Yeah, I don't have any specific questions, but thank you so much for such a detailed class explaining about, especially the child, how much suffering it goes through in the womb. It's really eye-opener because we always cherish those moments, but it's actually the suffering is going on internally. So much pain, like when we eat, especially spicy food and all that. So it's
Yeah.
and it's
And
so
Srila Prabhupada, actually, in those purports, he writes that these things should be discussed by people just to understand what a grave situation the child is facing when in the womb of the mother. You're so right when you say, oh, it is all very joyful for all of us. We think, the baby and this and that, and we are all cooing over the baby and all. But what suffering it has undergone in the womb and what suffering it has undergone when coming out, that is all described in the Vedic Shastra.
Yes, Mataji. But we read Bhagavad Gita or any scriptures during pregnancy, the suffering will be minimized, I think. Yeah.
Yes. Please read to the baby in the womb as much as possible. If the child hears the transcendental sound vibration while in the womb, it has a tremendous impact on the baby's consciousness. Tremendous. And the baby hears in the womb of the mother all these things and will not forget.
Okay. Yeah. And
You're putting very nice samskaras by reading to the child, by putting on lecture tapes, by putting on transcendental music, the holy name. All these things are very powerful for the baby in the womb. So encourage all the mothers who are pregnant to listen and to hear and to keep the transcendental sound vibration going all the time in the home, in the car, wherever they are. So the baby is always getting transcendental sound vibration.
Yes, Mataji, very true. Yeah. And here in the text 7, which you read the first line, death generally involves remaining in trance for 7 months. So what does it mean, Mataji? How should we
It
understand?
means being in the womb, because death means again taking birth, right? With death comes birth. So remaining in trance means you're put into that womb, and for 7 months, practically you're just growing in that womb, practically unconscious of everything else because you're suffering so much.
So it's considered as a death, like in the womb.
Yeah, not that's what death brings on. It brings on that trance in the sense that because you're taking birth again, the soul goes and inhabits another body, stays in the womb, and comes out again. So it's not exactly death because now birth is going to happen, but what death entails, it means taking birth again.
Okay, the suffering, exactly.
That's why it's called, it means remaining in trance in the womb for 7 months, because with death comes birth.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Mataji. And thank you for that point which you mentioned, once the baby comes out also, we should revive again the Krishna conscious thing,
Yes.
It's very important.
Yes, very important.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much again for the very beautiful class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for encouraging me and overlooking all my deficiencies and not so great knowledge. I'm trying to get by as best as I can.
No, Mataji, your class is always very enlightening. Yeah, so much and very instructive. Thank you.
Thank you for encouragement. Thank you so much, Revati.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. I don't see any raised hands or any comments further, Mataji. So I think we can end the call here. Thank you once again, devotees, for participating, and thank you, Mataji, for such a wonderful class again. And we'll all end here today. Tomorrow again we'll meet with another class, continuation of the verses. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva dhanam pavanebhyo.
And thank you, in spite of being so sick and having
Thank
such a
you.
bad throat infection, you're still stalwart spiritual warrior, still trying to do your best to serve the devotees and still carrying on with your Zoom hosting. And amazing, amazing. My humble obeisances. I have to take some dust from your lotus feet and put it on my head so that I also
Oh,
service attitude from you.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for your kind words, Mataji. I'm nothing doing. It's all Guru Maharaj's mercy only. Thank you. So, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj.
Jai Guru Maharaj ki
Ki
jai.
jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai.
Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Sadhu
Jai.
Sangat ki jai.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.